of which you would have everyone here. Amen. All right, so we are continuing with this sermon series called The Week. And I think it's funny that I'm like, I love this sermon series, and I do. Like it's over there. And the reason why I love it so much is that we are able to see the redemptive arc of how God saves through the Bible. Like it's displaying it, it's showing it, and the creation story shows us this redemptive arc and how it works. Like the creation story shows us this. So you have like everything in the beginning of the creation story is dark, and there's this sea that is just unbound. And to understand how all this works is that in the Hebrew mind, the sea is where all chaos and badness reigns, right? Like that's where it is. And the Spirit of God in the darkness is hovering over the sea. And out of the darkness, God says, let there be light. Right? Like, let there be light. And then the next day, he takes the sea and he reins it in on the second day. He reins in that sea and he creates the firmament he creates the sky. He creates the sky. And what I love about that is that where sea was everywhere before, now we are able to float to the top and hit the edge of the waters and be able to breathe again, right? And then in day 3, the sea is reined in even more, right? As God pulls out the dry ground out of the the earth, all that, bounds the sea even more and makes it all fruitful all around. And this is what I want to show you here. Like we see day 1, day 2, and day 3. Notice how similar in these pictures day 4, day 5, and day 6 are. You know? Like this is where it's beautiful here that we see that day 4 is filling out day 1. Where God said in day 1, let there be light. In day 4, he says, let there be lights. Literally, you can look at it. That's what it says. Let there be lights. And the sun, moon, stars. And that governs the seasons. Like you know the moon tells us when Easter is, right? Like the moon tells us that. Like it's kind of odd how it tells us because it takes like a nice like cheddary breath and like whispers it into our ears. Like sometime in the fall, it's like Easter will be on April 4th this year. Like over there, right? Like, no, but it's just like by how it moves in this calendar and how it all goes. Like that is how it works there. And so then we have day 5. The birds of the air and the fish of the sea. Now, I got to be honest with you guys. When we came up with this concept last year, about a year ago, Mark and I wrote this sermon series, and we're writing it, and I had all the confidence in everything we were doing except for today. Except for the day. And I was like, we'll have to see. I don't know how I'm going to connect birds of the air and the fish of the sea to this whole like gospel narrative. Like I don't know. Like we just may have to just do it, you know, and like when we get through it, like sometimes you just got to push through some ideas, right? Because the rest of it was so good. Because if you notice in the gospel, like the arc of creation is kind of how we're going to tohu vavohu, to wild and waste, to darkness on the cross. And then on Easter, it bursts forth again in light, and that let there be light, and all this order happens again. But how does day 5 fit on that? And I'll be honest with you, I didn't really know. And so I was doing all kinds of reading and like, why birds of the air and fish of the sea? If the sea is where all the dangerous stuff is where the chaos is. And then it hit me. So let's read it real fast. It says, this is Genesis 1:20. Jan just read this a little bit ago. And God said, let the water teem with living creatures, and let the birds fly above the sky across the vault of the sky. And so God created the great creatures of the sea, and every living thing with which the water teems and that moves about in it, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was Good. You guys know what you're doing. Like I think we scare new people whenever we do that. Like that. And God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. Well, no, be fruitful and increase in number. Sorry, I got to actually read the text. And fill the water in the seas. Let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening. And there was morning. The fifth day. And as I read that and was like reading some other things, I realized what's going on. That as we filled out day 2 here with birds of the air and the fish of the sea, I was like, oh my gosh, what an idea. Because there's chaos all around us, right? There's chaos and there's hurts and there's pain, and we don't often know how to deal with it all. But on the 5th day, God shows us that he comes in and he doesn't run away from the chaos. He comes into the midst of the chaos and he speaks life into it. He speaks life into the fish and those sea monsters that are in the waters, right? And he fills the sky with birds, creatures that soar above the churning waves, relying entirely on the breath, the wind, the very Spirit of God to keep them aloft. That's such a beautiful idea. That God comes and brings fruitfulness, brings life in the midst of the chaos. And if I speak truth about my own life just for a second, like I can never say when my life is chaos right now that it's like, oh, I can see where God is placing fruit in the midst of this. I can see where God is creating life in that. But when I look back in my life and I see the times where it felt like I was drowning, that I can look back and I can see the life that God has placed in each one of those things, in each one of those struggles. That's what's beautiful about how John writes the resurrection account, is that Jesus, rises from the dead in the Gospel of John, and his disciples, who know about it already, but they're too scared. They're too scared of the chaos, right? And they're in that upper room, scared to death of everything, and Jesus shows up on them, in them, with scars on his sides, the chaos still visible, and he breathes on them, right? Just like his breath holds birds in the air. It says, have peace. You are forgiven. It's beautiful, right? You can see this commingling all the way through it. But how do we usually deal with chaos, right? I know how I usually deal with chaos. Let's say I get into a little spat with someone. I never get in spats with anyone in this room. It's that other service. Like but like we get angry, and you're in Walmart or something like that, and you're just kind of going through the produce aisle, or you're walking down that side down next to the meats, and then you see that person you're in an argument with, you're like, woo, we need bread, and like it's, you go over there and you hide from it, right? Like it's like I don't need that chaos in my life. I don't need that. Like, what's going on, right? Like that's our nature, that we often abhor that we go different ways, but Jesus goes into the midst of the chaos. I love how the Gospel of John puts this. As we go into Holy Week, like look at how he writes this. This is the beginning of chapter 13. This is the beginning of the upper room narrative. In John, it's the foot washing and communion, the Lord's Supper. But look at it, he goes, it was just before the Passover festival, and Jesus knew that his hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Woo. So first off, let's break this down just a little bit. Passover is happening. What are they celebrating in Passover? It's literally when God's people were stuck in the chaos of slavery to Egypt. And God raises up Moses to go, let my people go and rescue them out of the clutches of Pharaoh. And he does that. Have you thought about all the plagues that are in Egypt? He does all that from the midst of the chaos, right? And even God rescues them from the charging Pharaoh behind them by splitting the waters by splitting the Red Sea as they go through the waters on dry ground. Like, this water stuff is everywhere when you're looking for it, right? With the chaos of it. Because I hear some of you are like, I don't know if I agree with this. You don't have to. Like, you don't have to. You should, but you don't have to. Like, but they go through it. And that's what they're remembering. But Jesus knows that they're in Jerusalem here. He knows that his hour has come. That's not a time of peace, right? That's a time of chaos in his life. But look at what he does. One of my favorite verses. But having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. It's time for it is finished on the cross. He loves them to the end. And he knows there's chaos all around. He knows his friend has already been deceived by the devil. Like, the evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Like, he knows this already. He knows that the Romans are readying their weapons. And even inside that upper room, his disciples are bickering about which one of them is the greatest. And Peter is like, I'm way better than all of these other jabronis here. Like, his pride is swelling up. And he's like, he's just getting ready for his most devastating fall. It's chaos all around him. None of it's good. And yet he doesn't run from any of it. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from his meal, and he took off his outer clothing and wrapped a towel around his waist. And after that, he poured water, hear it, water into a basin, and began to wash his disciples' feet and drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. Just as the Father created life in the midst of the chaos of the seas that were there, Jesus, in the midst of chaos, still brings life. Jesus rules the chaotic sea, not by being like Zeus and dropping lightning bolts onto all the nasty sinners out there, but instead he drops to his knees. He takes that very same element of chaos, the water, and he uses it to cleanse his betrayers, his deniers, his cowards. He washes the dirt off of the feet of the very men who are about to abandon him. And he doesn't stop there. Like, he takes the very bread and wine. He says, this is my body and my blood. He institutes the Lord's Supper. Like, in that same very moment, like of chaos, he institutes this meal that meets us in the midst of the chaos of our sin and pronounces a physicalness to our forgiveness. In that very same moment that all this is going on, humanity is plotting his murder. Jesus is preparing a feast of forgiveness for humanity, right? It's all there. It's day 5 of creation. All over again. He's speaking life, grace, and order right into the jaws of Leviathan. You have to come on Wednesday to get that reference, by the way. Like, you can watch it. It's a Job reference. Read the end of Job, like the last 6 chapters. You'll get it. Maybe. Anyway. But the next day, like, we're on Thursday right now of Holy Week. The very next day is Friday, where the chaos puts him on the cross. And he dies for you and me, dying to bring us peace. So it's interesting on day 5 that it's not just like the sea monsters and the fish and all of those things. Like, there's also these birds of the air. And I was like, okay, I I think I fully understand what's going on with the fish now. Like that's really cool that God is speaking life in the midst of chaos. Gosh, that's so much gospel right there. I love it, right? Like that's over there. But what's going on with the birds? When you think about how the Bible talks about the birds, Jesus talks about the birds, right? Just look at the birds of the air. They don't worry or toil. Your Father takes care of them. But it's not just what Jesus says, it's also in the Old Testament. Like what is one of the symbols of peace? It's a dove, right? That's like a symbol of peace. In the Old Testament, it says this. This is talking of, in the Exodus account, talking about how God has saved them from Egypt. And look what it says. He goes, you yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. All right, we got to take issue with this verse. Some of you have heard this before. Ed knows where I'm going, right? Like eagle's wings, not a good English translation. Now, I know we're good Americans in the room. We love eagles. But do you know a bird that isn't in the Middle East during this time frame? Eagles. So what this is like, it's like the biggest, with the word that's here, it's like the biggest bird that you can think of that kind of soars around. You know what there was a lot of back in that day and time as they're going around? Vultures, buzzards. So now the song should say, and I will lift you up on buzzard's wings. Carry you on like that. That's right. Like does that not ring as well to you guys? Got to think biblically. It's the biggest bird that soars in the midst of the wind. Remember, wind, spirit, air, like it's all breath. There we go, breath. Are all the same word in Greek. So they soar on the wind, on the Spirit of God in there. God gives them a place to breathe. This is what Jesus is bringing to his disciples. That in the midst of all this pain and hurt, in the midst of the chaos, as he's washing their feet with the water of chaos, right? He's pulling his disciples out. He's pulling us out of the chaotic waters and putting them in the midst of the heavens. He's giving them peace. And he's giving them a safe place to be able to. Now they don't take it, but that's where he gives them. Look at your own life, How often does it feel like the sea is winning, right? Like it's you have all these things, like you're waiting for your doctor to give you that call back, and like the doctor's on the caller ID on the phone, you're like, oh no, here we go, or like your finances are a mess, or your family life is an absolute mess. Like it's all this stuff, the relentless anxiety of living in a broken, sinful world, right? The waters are churning all around us. And Jesus brings the sanctuary to you. In the midst of the chaos, the upper room is where we are found, in the middle of it. And from the midst of all of that, he speaks, you are forgiven. And he prepares a table for you in the presence of your enemies. And he feeds you with his own body and blood, giving you a physical tangibleness of the forgiveness of sins. He rules the chaos of our life, not by dominating it, but by serving and washing and loving in the midst of the chaotic waters. And look what he says at the end of this narrative here. He goes, a new command I give you. Love one another. Remember how God added to the creation by adding life to the fish. Jesus adds to that chaos love and fills out the creation. Love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. And by this, everyone will know that you are mine, if you love one another. So love. Jesus says it to his disciples, but he says it to us. In the midst of chaos, and when things don't look right, and you don't know where anything is, continue to fill out the creation with love. Because Jesus says this love and forgiveness that he speaks, he knows full well what's going to happen on the next day. And so now, he sends us out into the midst of the chaos. When you leave here, whatever chaos you left out there, you're probably going to go back to. And that's okay. In the midst of the deep and the hurt, Jesus is pronouncing love and forgiveness to you all. For God has said, let the deep be filled with love. And may that love in the chaos bring fruitfulness so that you may soar uplifted on the winds of God's Spirit. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. And that's good news. We'll end right there. God, we thank you that you love us so much. Lord, as we deal with the chaos of our own lives, guide us and show us your grace. And Lord, may we see your forgiveness and love and be able to breathe again. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. And we'll sing our next song.